Hey everyone, welcome to the Modern Leadership Podcast. I'm Tim Nolan. So today's episode, um, I was facilitating a group yesterday for the Highly Effective Managers Program, and it really got me thinking about this one particular topic. And this is something that comes up quite a bit, I'm hearing from folks, in terms of leading by example. And so when you think about leading by example, you think about what are certain things that I do to try to show people that I'm doing the right thing. Maybe it's I come to work 10 minutes early every day. I show up early for meetings, or I am following through a wide variety of things, right? And, but through the course of the conversation yesterday in this group, we took this in a different direction. And so one of the main things I want to put out there is that leading by example is only half of the battle. It's leading by example is only half of the leadership equation when it comes to that. It's incomplete, let's say. And so let me give you an example. Is when we look at leading by example, so to speak, is that you are engaging in certain behavior, but there's no guarantee it's going to come back. You hope that your staff sees it, and you're like, they should be doing that because that's what I do. I'm modeling that, but it's incomplete, and here's why: because we need to influence people. So leading by example is the first part, but influencing your staff to engage in those very same behaviors is the second piece of effectively leading by example. And so when we look at influencing, let me give you an example to consider. So let's look at a meeting. Let's say you're in a meeting together, not a meeting you're leading, but you're in a meeting together with some of your staff, and you have a certain approach. This is you leading by example. So you're there early, you got a good seat, you have prepared, you've done your research ahead of time of the meeting, reviewed whatever notes you needed to, done whatever research you need to, and so you have some maybe questions written down. You're very prepared. And then when the meeting occurs, you find time to maybe raise your hand, you're engaging, you're adding insights, asking questions. And so you're leading by example. But if you really want your staff to be like that, then then we need to start having those conversations with them. And so this is something to look at. Let's say you have an individual on your team that doesn't really talk a lot during meetings, but when they do, there's good stuff, good insight. So it shows that they have their thought process is sharp and it's good, but they're not participating as much as you would like. So if we're going to influence them, then we want to maybe start talking to them like, hey, Tim, you know, um, during our next staff meeting, I would really love to hear more about what you're working on in your area, right? Just so you start small. And so and so it's not something you're going to get right away, but you start working on things to try to influence. And influencing people is an intentional process. It's intentional because this is your goal. You're actively doing this. And so to influence people, we want to be subtle. And so let's say in this example, you do tell Tim, like, hey, I'd like to see you, add a little bit more about, what you're working on because it's really good stuff for the rest of the team to hear. And then when it does happen, then you want to come to Tim afterwards and be like, hey, Tim, thank you. That was really good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about that at our next meeting. And so you just want to set that stage and try to influence that. So that's where that reinforcement comes in. So when you start seeing the behavior that you like, then you want to start reinforcing it. And so that's just one of many ways to influence people. So again, leading by example is only half of the equation. We need to make sure that we're influencing other people. And we do that through leveraging the relationship. But sometimes what I've seen is people may struggle moving to the next step because maybe they don't like conflict, they have trouble providing feedback. But if you are managing people, if you're a people leader, you have to be able to provide feedback. And just like I was focusing on the last podcast episode, is that managers typically are not providing enough feedback to employees. And research is very clear on that. And so your employees want more feedback. And this is one way. One way. So it's really interesting because I assigned some homework in the group. And I'll mention here something for you to look at too. This is a good takeaway for you is to identify 2 to 3 things that you feel that you do. What are 2 to 3 things that you feel that you do to lead by example? So what are some of those behaviors that you engage in so that's you saying, I'm leading by example. I do X, Y, and Z. And I think it's important to just start identifying that. And then the second piece would be, how can you start influencing the people on your team to engage in some of those behaviors that you do? So again, it could be your preparation for meetings. It could be your participation in meetings. It could be how you follow through. But really take a moment and start identifying, what is it that you do that would qualify leading by example? How do you lead by example? And then from there, you can start looking at how to influence people. And again, you want to start small. What are some things that you'd like to see? So start yourself and say, hey, I do this. I'd like to see more of that from you. And so how can we gently nudge? How can we nudge people? How can you just gently challenge and nudge your staff? And I will tell you, your one-on-one meetings is the single best opportunity to do that. And within those one-on-one meetings, just being able to say like, hey, Tim, I'm noticing this. And what I'd like to see over the next 30 days, I really would like to see you focus on this area a little bit more and be very specific and concrete about it. And just, you're kind of listing, it's a goal, slightly veiled challenge as well. But it's like, I'd like to see this from you over next month. So I think within those one-on-one meetings is a great opportunity to influence your staff. And so today's episode short, just want to focus on just something that popped up. But I will tell you, the Highly Effective Managers Program, the July 24th session is nearly sold out. So it's probably going to sell out the next few days. But I have another one starting in October 16th, I believe it is. But definitely come by, check out the website, highlyeffectiveorganizations.org. But any thoughts on podcast episodes or topics that you would like to see covered? Send me an email, tim@modernleadershippodcast.com. Have a great day.